Hey friends, next up on our journey of just random readings, we're going to use the Tarot of the Crystal World, which is a deck that I backed on Kickstarter, and it was released this year, and I quite liked it, and I made a deck review of it, and I don't know what the story is with it other than that, but I dug it. I dig it. So let's do a reading. This shuffle is really nice. I love a good shuffler. This is a deck that I really liked, and I felt like in a way got overshadowed by other decks that I really liked this year, because this was just a really good year for decks. Don't know why. Don't know how, but it was. Sometimes when decks cards start falling out, that's when I know I am going to stop shuffling. I don't read jumpers because I'm a klutz, so I'm going to get them anyway. But if I keep getting them, then that's when I know I'm going to stop. Ooh, lots of majors here. I just found this deck so beautiful and weird. And those are two qualities that I really enjoy in divination. And oh my god, so many majors. Was this in order? I don't think so. And there's reversals too, which is weird. Interesting, maybe I dropped it. All right, so we've got the Page of Cups, the Sun, Temperance, the Empress, the Queen of Pentacles, Judgment, the Lovers, the Four of Wands, and the Queen of Wands. So what's jumping out at me? The majorness of the spread. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 majors. Big times. Now, this doesn't necessarily mean anything. They could just be the right cards. But it does italicize the reading for me, the spread for me, so I'm going to pay attention. I do think that a lot of majors in a reading can indicate that this is something that needs a spotlight, or this is something that needs to be italicized. I don't say it's more important, because I think all readings are important, but I do think there's something when that happens. So 5 majors. Anything else? We've got Pentacles, Cups, Wands, no Swords. All right, so this reading has no air in it. That's interesting to me too. We don't have. I mean, the Sun is a fire card in the sense that it shows fire. We have the Four of Wands, which is the only other fire card, and that is a stable card. So, though there's no air in this reading, it is sustainable. Whatever's happening is sustainable for the time being, because the fire cards we do have are sustainable. The Sun is kind of the quintessential one, and the Four stabilizes the fire. We have 2 queens. What do I know about queens? I know that queens are influential. I know that they are educators. They're influencers in that sense. They facilitate. I know that they are clever, more clever than kings. I know that they know how to work the system. So those are some things about the reading, about the overall quality of it. So no air, stable fire, major cards, big queen energy, BQE. So all of that I take into account. It's not telling me much of anything yet, but we haven't even really started the reading. Page of Cups in the middle tells me that this is something new, something curious. There's an emotional curiosity that has flared big time. So something, I would say maybe an attraction to something or someone has flared majorly and is actually having kind of a major impact on their life. Interestingly, the Temperance card here would suggest that it would, in most cases, say that this was moderate. I would say that there's an attempt to moderate it, but actually, if we look at the middle column, the Four of Swords is the root of it. Temperance, I think what we're getting is a sustained intemperance. So in a way, I'm kind of, because of the way that this reading is giving me information, the Temperance card kind of almost reverses itself. I'm getting intemperance in this case. Because of the Sun, because of the majorness, because of the sustained fire. Also because of the Empress on the other side. I don't think the Empress is an intemperate card, but I do think that the Empress isn't concerned about niceties and normalities. Also, again, we can add the Empress to the collection of queens. They're feeling themselves in this moment. So normally I would say this kind of all-consuming thing is bad for you, but I don't know that it is. In fact, maybe immoderation, intemperance is a good thing right now. Let's look at the Judgment card for a second. That's jumping out at me. This is a very specific, different Judgment image. These old, it's almost tower-like, breaking through, waking up, cracking those old Doric columns, those old classical columns. And that's where the page is looking. Kind of away from the moderation of the moderating influence in this reading, I think would also be, well, actually even more than temperance would be the Queen of Pentacles. But the Queen of Pentacles, who's usually pretty moderate, is looking there too. So, after a period of stasis, after a period of sort of, normalness and whatever, like you're ready, and you're loving this, and you don't want it to end, and it is making you feel hot. So I think that this is maybe a crush that started as a crush that's now maybe more than a crush. Now, one thing that's very key to remember is that there are not a lot of indicators of the other person. Now, we have the Lovers and the Four of Wands, which do show two people, and the Lovers is kind of the indicator here for me that this is a relationship thing. Sometimes a cigar is just a cigar, you know what I mean? And so this reading is about how my client feels in this case, because I don't have necessarily many cards indicating that there's someone else's feelings at play. Although the Queen of Pentacles and the Queen of Wands could represent the two people. If it does, they knight to, well, they don't, yeah, well, they intersect at the Lovers and they knight to each other through the Lovers. So I could read the two queens that way. I never got that impression, but it could mean that. I feel strongly that this is about how the person I'm reading for feels, which is not always the case. And I'm just going based on my gut. The Empress being in this reading suggests that this is a really fertile time for this. Now, if this is a heterosexual cis couple who can birth, and they're not interested in doing that, and they're not using any form of contraceptive, the Empress in this reading would tell me, just know that that's a possibility. There's a freedom in this reading, and rooted in the curiosity of the page. While I see that this is consuming, I don't see this as necessarily unhealthy, because pages are able to look at things with curiosity. It could become too much. And the fact that there's no air in this reading tells me that if none is introduced, at some point, this fire will have to go out, which is not uncommon in hot and heavy relationships early on. If the hot and heaviness isn't moderated in some way, it will often burn out. And that's totally healthy, totally natural, totally fine. At the same time, is that the interest? So that's the conversation I would have in this case. I don't really think reading the columns is going to tell me much of anything I don't already know. Sun, Queen of Pentacles, Lovers. I mean, again, this person who's so down to earth is actually feeling kind of up in the clouds. They don't mind this immoderation. In fact, they quite enjoy it, and they feel fecund and open and joyously awake and hot. And so I would say to this client, enjoy that. So there you go. There you go. Hope you enjoyed that. Talk soon. Be good.